So this week has shown us something special. It is Friday the 13th. I'm excited of dropping this one on Friday the 13th. However, this week wasn't as scary as the date might say. One of the things that we saw this week is in properties that are for sale and the market overall, what's important to buyers and why does that impact you and why is it important? So if you're a homeowner, you own investment properties, you own a property that you live in and you're planning on selling it, every market yields different results and different strategies for getting your property sold. The market might be super hot. It might be a buyer's market where you have to offer additional incentives to the buyer to actually get the job done. It might be a crazy seller's market where people are putting their over asking offers, consistently, where you barely have to do anything to get an amazing offer. But what are the things that really matter? And in this market, where location has always been the norm, there are condition and price that also stand in there. And I think when it comes to every given market, location is always important. However, condition and price can show themselves in different ways and can become more important to the consumer. In this market right now, it is a pretty, I'd say, relatively balanced market. Still leaning more towards a seller's market in certain parts of town, but a buyer's market in others. The outskirts, Buckeye, the Queen Creek, some of those areas are more on the buyer side of the market. Not only are they on the buyer side of the market for sales, but also for rentals. Rentals are super saturated out there. People are able to work better deals, and they take significantly longer to move or get off market and actually get filled with a qualified tenant. When we have the condition, the location, and the price in this market, another thing that we're seeing is the condition is showing up significantly more and is so much more important to buyers than it was just a few years ago, right? And why is that? Well, the cost of money is expensive, right? And with interest rates hovering around 7%, let's just use that as an example. When we were able to buy houses in the 3% or 4%, people still had money in their pockets afterwards to be able to spend a little extra after they got into a home to get it how they want it, to clean it up, to redo the kitchen, to redo a bath. It was a lot easier pill to swallow for them when money was significantly cheaper. So what does that look like now? Well, now it looks like people are that, somebody was buying a $400,000 home, their once $1,400 payment is now $1,900, right? So that delta of $600 a month equates to, thousands of dollars a year, $7,200 a year. And that money is worth something. That's a lot. $7,200 from what one person was paying 3 years ago for the same house today of, $1,900 from 14 to 19 is a huge number for most buyers and for everybody. So at the end of the day, getting them to recognize the condition on the front end and say, hey, do they have to put more money into it? Are they looking to spend more for this particular property? Now, properties that have condition issues are going to sit and they're going to get beat up. Even the things that you don't expect. We recently sold a house and the house was immaculate. This owner had absolutely taken care of this home from the minute they purchased it 20 years ago. One thing that they hadn't done was they didn't replace the roof. And because it never leaked, he took really, really, really good care of this house. You keep your roof in really, really good shape and you have somebody up there every year or two repacking the mortar joints and making sure that there are no potential leaks in areas where the underlayment is exposed. You're probably in good shape and the roof's going to last a lot longer than people expect. In this particular case, though, to get this buyer to pay top dollar for their house, concessions had to be made for that particular roof because it was so old. So even if the property is amazing, buyers are still apprehensive because they're not quite sure not only of what things cost to get repaired, but whether or not they're going to have the money to be able to do it after putting so much money down and having a payment that's so much higher than they would have expected just a few years ago. So again, condition is much more of something to have to think about as a seller in this market than it was just a few years ago, whereas we'd be able to just put something on the market and see what happens. Now, it's not the case. Also with pricing. So price needs to be very, very, very realistic right from the get-go. Because again, from the beginning, if we're going to push the value, it's going to happen close to the beginning of the listing. It's not going to happen after we've been on the market for 60 days. It's rare that somebody's going to come to the table after 60 days and say, hey, this place has been on the market for 2 months. I think I need to offer you something over asking. It's going to happen right out of the gates, right? So we put that thing on the market. We do some coming soon stuff. Boom, we're building some anticipation. That first weekend or two, we're going to get some strong offers. If we don't, what's wrong with our pricing? What's wrong with our condition? What's wrong with location? What is it that's holding us back from getting multiple offers on the property in the first weekend? Now, in most cases, condition is going to factor in, but it's going to be that price. That price has got to draw them in. It's got to show them, hey, this is something that you can purchase. This is something that is a great value. And again, pricing something a little bit too high right out of the gates, it just keeps the real buyers just on the fence a little bit longer until they see that price come down to where they think it's realistic, especially if they've been watching that particular area for a while and they're just waiting for the right property. If yours is super clean, if it's just dialed, and you go in at a really, really good price, like something that looks fair compared to what comps are selling for, yeah, expect to get offers. It's the market that we're in. But again, conditions got to be there and prices got to be there too. Hey, I hope this information helps. This is something we're seeing very, very consistently right now. For those of you owners that have had properties with us managed for a long time, when you're when you're planning on exiting that market, when you're planning on getting out of this space, when you've got a 20-year-old roof or a 20-year-old AC unit and they're running fine, I'm not going to ask you to change those things when it comes to management. But when it comes to selling these properties, buyers' expectations are going to be different than mine to keep your property running right and tenants just keeping it moving forward. Thanks so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you again. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Boom.